Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. Today I'm going to be doing a board game spotlight for a new release called Clans of Midgard from Gray Fox Games, and I'd like to thank Gray Fox Games for sending me this review copy. In this board game spotlight, I'll talk to you about how you set up and play the game, give you a partial playthrough so you can see how a turn would flow, and then give you my reflections. What did I like about the game? What are some improvements I think could be made? Things you may or may not enjoy about the game as well. So if you're curious to learn more about Clans of Midgard, stay tuned. Before I talk about the gameplay, let's do a quick look through at what we see on BoardgameGeek for Clans of Midgard. You can see it's a 2024 release and it was on Kickstarter, and I'm showing you the retail version today when we start looking through the components. It says it's a 30 to 60 minute playing time, and I've only played it at 2 players, but multiple times. And in that 2-player count, I would say this is reasonable. My wife and I, the first time, probably took us about 45 minutes, and then every game since then has been right around 30 to 35 minutes. And with 2 players, you do have to have a dummy player, which I'll talk through in the gameplay. It was designed by Alara Cameron and Travis R. Chance, and as I mentioned, the publisher is Gray Fox Games. And you can see it's about a Viking-themed game. It's a draft, write, and fight. The mechanisms are area majority influence, closed drafting, dice rolling, and then paper and pencil, since it is a roll and write kind of feel, although you're not necessarily rolling the dice every turn, which you'll see now in the gameplay. All right, I've got this set up for either a 2 or 3 player game, and I'm going to show you the 2-player version so you can see how the dummy player Helga works. We're going to use yellow for Helga. We've got her 15 warrior cubes and her playing board, or her playing paper. On the board, there is a 3 Viking head here in the corner for the side for 2 or 3 players, because you technically with 2 have to play that 3rd dummy player. And then if you have 4 players, you play on this side of the board. So that's how you know it is a double-sided board. We've got our God cards here, which I'll explain in a minute. We've got our rune cards here. This will be Janelle's paper and her 15 warriors, and this will be mine with my 15 warriors. And then we've got the Valkyrie die down here, which we'll explain as we go through the rules, along with the rule book, which you probably do want to keep handy. It's not that the rules are complicated, but there is a certain order that you want to go through, and so we found it handy to have that next to the game. All right, so as we're playing, this is a draft and fight and write, or draft, write, and fight. I forget the order they give in the rule book, but in the setup of the game, you're going to take these God cards and you're going to randomly pick 2 from the first pile. So we'll just pick this one and this one, and so you don't know what they are, and then you're going to pick 2 from the 2 pile. So just randomly picking those, and then you put the 1 gods on top of the 2 gods, and those 4 gods are going to basically be your round counters. You play 4 rounds, and so we're going to reveal for round 1 the god that we're in contention for is Thor. And Thor says at game end he is worth 2 victory points for each god you have, including himself. And so this first round we're going to be battling to see for glory, to see who's going to have Thor on their side. And then we've got these rune cards, and there's 28 rune cards, and you're just going to shuffle them up, and you're going to deal them out, and then you go through a draft, a closed draft. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, okay, 2. And as you're drafting, or sorry, as you're dealing them out in a 3-player game / 2-player game, you're going to draft out 8 cards to each player. So there will be 4 that are unused in that round. And so there's the 4 that are not known in this round, not seen in this round. And then I'm not going to simulate the draft, but Helga doesn't participate in the draft. She just gets these 8 cards. But then Janelle and I would keep 1 card, pass it, keep 1 card, pass it, keep 1 card, pass it. And so I think rather than taking the time on camera to show that, we'll just pretend that we did that and drafted those cards, and these are the 8 that we ended up with. All right, so there's my 8, that's her 8, and we're ready to go. So we reveal the god, we draft the cards, and now we resolve the cards. And we actually don't really need a sheet of paper for Helga over here, because she doesn't keep track of any scores there, but just to kind of show if it was a 3rd player, they would need their paper. All right, so now that we've done that, now we're going to resolve those rune cards that we've drafted. And the first step in that resolving is the offerings. And the offerings are going to determine who gets Thor. And so in the offerings, you're going to be looking up in the top left corner. So these are the cards that I drafted. And So we'll show you here. And these 3 cards that I drafted, there's a little blue tree up here in the corner. The numbers don't necessarily matter unless there's a tie. So I have 3 glory offerings to Thor. And then we'll see what Janelle drafted. So if we look at her, she's got 1 with a tree, another one with a tree. Okay, so she just has 2. All right, and so I have offered more to Thor, so I get to take Thor, and at the end of the game I'll have 2 points for this card and 2 points for any of the other gods that I might be able to win in the next 3 rounds. Okay, so Thor will become with me in this battle. All right, and so that's the first part. We just look at those top symbols in the top left corner and figure out who had the most glory, who gave the most offerings. And then if it is a tie, that's when you look at the numbers and you're looking at the highest number. If that doesn't resolve, then you're looking at the sum of the numbers. Or maybe it's the other way around. I think you look at the sum of the numbers, and if that doesn't resolve it, then you look at who has the highest one, because I think there's only 1 number for each symbol. So there has to be a winner at that point. All right, if neither of us had drafted a glory, if for some reason all of them ended up in Helga's card, then no one gets the god. I don't think that would probably happen very often, but it's possible in the dealing that somehow all 6 of those glory cards got into her hand. All right, so that is the glory offerings at the very beginning. Then we go to the clans stage. Now on the clan stage, we're looking at this little stripe. I have no clan represented there. I've got a boar clan here, a bird clan here, a snake clan here, a wolf clan here. So I've got all 4 of them represented. There's 4 clans. You can see them across the bottom of the board here. So I've got another wolf and another wolf. Okay, so once we've seen what clans we have, I only had 1 snake, so that's not going to matter. I only had 1 boar, so that's not going to matter. I've got 3 wolves, so that is the clan that I've supported the most in this draft. And so that is going to determine where I put my warriors out. And so as you're drafting, you're thinking about a lot of things. You're thinking about, do I have those offerings up here to give? Do I have the right kind of clan to support to give me the territories that I want to send my warriors to? Because I had 3 wolves, so I'm going to look at this symbol and I'm going to send 1 of mine to the green territory. I'm going to send 1 of mine to the blue territory, and I'm going to send 1 of mine to the red territory. And so as I'm drafting, I'm thinking about a lot of things. I'm also going to be thinking about these monsters here, and we'll talk about those in the glory points and the boats and the letters. You're trying to think about all these things at once as you're drafting. But in the clan mode, you're just looking at the animals and the shapes of the territory symbols there, shapes and colors of the territory symbols there, to see where you would put your warriors. So that's my mode on clan mode. All right, now we look at, this is the one thing that Helga does participate in. It looks like she's going to be boars probably. She's got 3 boars, 1 bird, 2 birds, 4 boars. Wow, okay. She went hog heaven. All right, so she had 2 birds and a wolf and a serpent, but definitely more boars. And so Helga does put out her warriors. And you can see some of these do have more than 1 symbol. So she's going to put on blue and on purple. She's going to put, again, on blue and on red. All right, and then she's going to put another one on red. And then she's going to put 1 on this kind of yellowy orange color. All right, so Helga did her clans. And then Janelle, let's see, she's got a serpent, nothing on that one, a boar, a wolf, another serpent, a boar, a wolf, a wolf. All right, so she has a clear winner. She had 2 boars, 2 serpents, but 3 wolves. If any of us got to the point where we had drafted to a tie, where there wasn't a single clan that was more represented, then we look at this sequence across the bottom. And if it's a tie that involves the birds win the tie, and then the serpents win the next, and then the boars, and then the wolves. So if you have a tie, this shows you the ranking of which one you would pick highest to lowest. But we ended up that time all having a clear winner with more of one clan than another. So then Janelle would put for hers out, she would put 1 on blue for this card, she put 1 on the red for this card, and then she's going to put 1 on purple, and 1 on yellow for this card. So that's how we do the second phase of clans. Then we go to letters. All right, and so the letters are just right here in the corner, and you're just going to mark these letters. So I've got a G on this little letter track here. I've got an I, and I've got an M, and a T, and an A, and a B, and a Q, and then either a G or an H. And so I can decide if I want the G, which is already covered because I had a G back here. So I don't want that, so I'm going to use the H. But when it has two letters, you get to pick the one. It's one or the other, not both. All right. Now, why are we drafting for these letters? So if you look at the scorecard here, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I fill up this whole row, I'm going to get 1 point. This whole row gets 2, so on and so forth. Same with the columns. There's 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So if I get this whole column, 1 point, another point for that whole column, so on and so forth. So we're trying to fill up rows and columns with our rune letters. And that's why we would draft certain letters in that part of the game. And so right now I haven't filled out any rows or columns with the 8 that I've drafted so far, but as the game goes on, you're going to hopefully fill out more and more and more, and at the end of the game you earn points for each one of the full rows and columns. All right, so that's the letter portion of the game. You don't do that for Helga. Janelle would be doing her letters simultaneously to me. The next thing we look at is the monsters. And so now we're looking at this part of the card. And we've got a Draugr and a Draugr. So that means I battled Draugrs and won because I've got 2 of them. This one has no monster. Here's another Draugr. A third one doesn't really matter. This one doesn't have a monster. This one has a dragon. This one has a Kraken, and then this one has a troll. So I didn't draft very well on my monsters because you have to get a pair of monsters to defeat them in battle. And so I didn't defeat the trolls because I only got 1. I didn't defeat the Kraken because I only got 1. I didn't defeat the dragons because I only got 1. And even though I got 3 Draugrs, you can only defeat 1 of each kind of monster per round. So it doesn't really matter. I could only defeat 1 anyway, but I did defeat a Draugr. So on the board it shows you the Draugrs are worth 2 points if you defeat 1, trolls are 3, dragons 4, and Kraken 6. And so I defeated a Draugr. So on my scorecard, I'm going to put the 2 points in the slaying column because I slayed a Draugr in this round. And you're just going to have a score for round 1, 2, 3, and 4 for any monsters you beat. Okay. And then the next mode is the glory mode. And this is when we look at this purple circle in the middle and add up the points. So I got 1, nothing, nothing, 2 points now, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that sounds pretty good. I got 8 points. And it is pretty good to get 8 points. You get to put that in the glory. But there's another little trick to this, kind of almost like a push your luck as you're drafting. Now that this is 8, you can see a little less than, greater than symbol there. My next round has to be bigger than that, otherwise I get 0. So I would need to score at least a 9 next round in those glory points to score anything, otherwise I'm going to put a 0 there. And so 8 is great, but it's going to be harder to keep getting higher and higher. I'm going to have to draft intentionally to try to get higher and higher numbers. But I don't want any big jumps because then the next round is going to be a 0. So you kind of want to start a little bit low on this in the first round to try to score all 4 rounds. Otherwise, you're going to get a 0. Although there is one god in there that allows you to kind of get around this rule to some degree, kind of gives some mitigation for it. But that glory is how that's tracked. All right, then we go to the Draugrs, and the Draugrs are symbolized by these boats at the bottom of the card. So looks like I've got a lot of boats. Ooh, I do have a lot of boats. I was really going heavy on the boats. I don't think I've ever seen that many in one hand. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boats in my hand, which means I'm going to get to mark off 8 boats down here. Now in this part of the game, when we're marking off our boats, we're doing it in secret because every time we mark off a boat, if we reach these little, and it's probably a little hard to see, but if we reach these little like circle shapes, if we get to the left of those, then that gives us an extra warrior in that territory. And so I'm going to get a lot of extra warriors here. But I don't want, you don't want to see the other people to see where you're marking your boats and where you might be putting out warriors, because we're going to have an area majority combat battle going on here. So I've got 8 of them though. So it's interesting, one of the gods, you want to try to fill all these out to earn points. So I might hope that god comes up later, then I can try to win it, because 8's a lot. But if I look out here, I'm red. So I've got 1 here, which is, and there's a number on the board. This is 5. So 1 more cube here means a battle happens, and ties are friendly. So if I go for red, I could possibly take this battle by putting some extra cubes out here. This one only needs 3. So if I put 1 here, I would have a chance of tying or winning. If I put 2 here, even better. Here I already have 1, but it needs 4, so it's pretty unlikely this one's going to happen this round. This one, I only have 1, and we need 4. There's already 4. This battle's going to happen, so if I could get 1 more on this blue one, then I will tie, and I'll be tying Helga, and Helga doesn't keep score, so that might be worth it. And then out here, this one needs 6, so I probably won't worry about the purple ones this round, although it wouldn't be bad to put one out there. So I think I'm going to focus on this blue one, and so I'm going to put 1 boat, 2 boats, and then I've reached that one, so that's going to give me one on blue, and then 3 boats, 4 boats. So I've gone ahead and filled out the blue, and then I've reached another one here. So I'm going to get to put 2 of these out on blue, but I'm doing this kind of in secret. I don't let anybody else know that that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm putting them. So I've put 4 out there now, 4 boats. I got 4 more to go. Let's go for yellow here, because if I do, here's my 5th one, then I've reached one there for yellow. And then that's going to give me a tie, but if I do then my 6th, 7th, and 8th one, I'm going to reach that one, and now I'm going to have 2 on yellow. So I'm doing all that. At the same time, Janelle is looking at her cards to see, and I have so many boats. I don't know how many are in there. I've never counted. She might not have any because I took so many. So, oh, she does have 1. So there's 1. Oh, she's got a couple. There's more boats out there than I thought. So she's still got 4. Helga must not have any. Let's see, just out of curiosity, yeah, Helga has 1 boat. So Janelle and I were really drafting heavy on the boats, and she just happened to not get very many. So Janelle's going to mark 4 on her card, and I'll just put it on top here and show. So again, I know I'm going to put these out on blue, and I know I'm going to put these out on yellow. Janelle doesn't know that. She's going to be marking off her 4, and this is the current state of the board. So as blue player, she's thinking, well, maybe she can get this one. You know, she's going to have a hard time winning this one, This one she could start competing for the blue one, and she has 4. So she might, it depends. She could get 1. She could actually get 2 on there here, or she could get 2 on here. So it's hard to say which way she would go. Let's just say for kicks and giggles, we'll just go, she decided she was going to do all 4 of hers on blue, which is going to give her 2 warriors on blue. So we figure that out. We decide how we're going to put our boats in and how we're going to, you know, potentially get extra warriors out on the board. Once we're all done, then we place them. And so she decided to go here and put those on blue. I also decided to put them on blue. We didn't know that, and then I decided to also put them here on yellow. And so that's the draw card part, putting the boats out. You decide where you're going to put them, and then you go to battle. And when we go to battle, we also have to think about the Valkyries. Now, I didn't get any cards with Valkyries. The Valkyries are up here in the top corners. I didn't get any. Let's see if Janelle got some. So she's got a green one, and she's got a blue one, which that kind of makes sense why she might want to have used her boats to get more blue warriors, because she had the blue Valkyrie. All right. And so we look at our Valkyries, and now we start for the battle. So it looks like Helga got, she got the purple and the red and the yellow. So I got a little bit unlucky with the Valkyries that time. All right. So now let's talk about the battles and how the Valkyries come into play here. When you resolve the battles, you do them from lowest to highest. So here, then here, because this one needs 3 to go to battle, this one needs 4, this one needs 4, this one needs 5 and 6. So you just go around and you resolve any that have met that minimum. So this is a minimum of 3. So this one does go to battle. Red wins, that's me. So when you win, you put your warriors up here. They're going to give you big points, victory points here in a minute. And if you lose, so Helga, we don't keep track of points. Her warrior just goes to Valhalla. Janelle's warrior also goes to Valhalla, but when you lose and your warrior goes to Valhalla, you actually mark off a Valhalla horn. And you have to go top to bottom, left to right, and the more you fill in, the more points you're going to get across at the end of the game. So she got 1 warrior lost in that battle. This needs 4, and there's only 1 there, so there's not going to be a battle here. This one needs 4, and there's a lot more than 4, and it's a tie, and ties are friendly. So Janelle and I will both win. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. In this first battle, I won that one, so I get to cross off the circle here for winning that battle. No battle here. We go here, and this is a tie, so all of our warriors for Janelle and I go there. Helga lost out. Hers are going to Valhalla, but we don't need to worry about tracking it. And so I won blue, so I cross off blue, and Janelle won blue, so because we tied. So we both get to cross off blue. Now, the reason you're crossing these off here, oh, sorry, we need to roll that back for a minute. I almost forgot. Janelle has the blue Valkyrie. So here we are, back to we haven't necessarily won yet. So Janelle's got the blue Valkyrie. So if you have the blue Valkyrie and we have a battle in blue, then you roll the die. So Janelle would roll the die, the Valkyrie die, and she got one, so she actually adds another one, so she wins blue. So she's going to get her 4 there. My 3 come back, and I'm going to get 3 horns, and so I made a mistake here. No, I did not win blue. So I have to make a little mark to myself. I did not win blue, but I did lose 3 warriors in battle. All right, Janelle did win blue, and so she's going to get that. Also, we skipped over green because there was no battle, but Janelle did have the green Valkyrie, so she gets to mark off the green Valkyrie symbol down there. And let's talk a little bit about that here. This is what made me think about it. Remember that rule. As you're crossing off the Valkyries, you cross them off if you have the Valkyrie on your card and there was no battle in that region. And so that's why she had the green Valkyrie. There was no battle there. She crossed it off. At the end of the game, it shows in really fine print here. If you have one of these marked off, you're going to get 1 point. If you have 2, you get 2 points. 3 gives you 3 points. 4 gives you 5 points. All 5 gives you 7 points. So if you can get the Valkyries where battles won't ensue, and you can get all 5, you can get up to 7 points. However, you really want to win the battles, because if you win the battles and you cross those off, if you win 1 battle over the 4 rounds, you get 1 point. If you win 2, you get 3 points. 3 gives you 6. 4 1 battles gives you 10 points. And if you win in all 5 territories, you're going to get 15 points. So I thought I had tied there and won, but I didn't. So I only won the yellow one this round. Janelle won that blue one. All right, so now we'll keep going here. We go here to the next round. Helga wins this round, so she had the most. So we don't worry about putting hers there necessarily because she's not scoring any points. I'm going to get another horn for losing my warrior to Valhalla, and Janelle will as well for losing that warrior. And then we get up here, there's only 6. No battle ensues. Neither Janelle or I have the purple Valkyrie symbol on our cards, so neither of us get to cross that off on our chart. And so at the end of the round, you don't really do any scoring at each round. You just add up everything as you go. You do get points for the territories here, and this is the last thing in our battles mode. Janelle had 4 that were victorious in battle, so she would get 4 here, and then I have 2, so I'm going to get 2 here. But then we don't really total anything up, but we can see in this round, for slaying monsters, I earned 2 points. For glory points, I have 8 that I'm going to have to get more later. I only had 2 warriors victorious in battle. I had 4 warriors lose in battle. I won the battle in the yellow territory. I didn't have any Valkyries on my cards, so I didn't really have any chance to win those. But I have completed 2 full rows here, which isn't really anything unless I'm able to get a god card that gives me points for doing that. And I haven't filled any rows or columns here, but I'm close on a couple. And you really want to focus on the bottom rows and the far right columns. So I didn't draft very wisely in terms of getting letters that are going to give me high value, but I did get, a bunch of different letters crossed off there. So after 1 round, that's where things stand. And then we draw another god over for the next round. The warriors that are out there that weren't involved in battle, so there was no battle here, there was no battle there, they stay for the next round. And then we shuffle up the rune cards again. So we gather all of them, including the 4 that we didn't use that round. So we shuffle all those up again, deal them out, do another draft, and we'll try to give offerings to earn that god. We'll support clans, we'll do letters, and so now as we've kind of seen what we've done in the first round, now we know more what letters we still need, so we might be drafting for letters. We might be drafting to try to slay some more monsters to earn more points. The Kraken's worth 6 and the Dragons are worth 4, so if we can get combinations, we've got to get pairs of those. We might be trying to think, well, I've already got to start here on green, so maybe I want to try to get green territories to put warriors out on next time, and maybe try to draft the green Valkyrie so that I can roll the die. And on the Valkyrie die, most of the sides just have 1 on them, so you just get to add 1 warrior. There's one side that has 2, so you could add 2 warriors for that. And then there's one side that has a slash. If you roll the slash, you don't get to add a warrior, but you do get to slash it off on your paper. And so then after 4 rounds, you're just going to add up all the points you've earned for beating monsters, all the points you've earned for glory, all the points you've earned for conquering territories, plus the territory bonus for how many of the territories you've been able to be victorious in. I've already circled off, or I've already completed 2 vertical columns of my Valhalla, but then the more of these columns you have warriors dying in battle, you're going to get points there. Also for the Valkyries, you're going to get your bonuses there, and then you're going to get your columns and rows bonuses there. And then up here, this is for your letters. So all your columns and rows, you add them up and you put your total here. This little diamond represents slaying, so the more you slay, the more points you get there. This adds up your glory points, this adds up your territory points, and you put your bonus. This adds up your Valhalla points, and then you put your Valkyrie bonus. And then this adds up your gods cards. Some of them, like this one that I got, Thor, does give me in-game bonus. So I would get 2 points for Thor, and if I'm able to draft or offer enough to earn those other guards, then I would get 2 for each of those. So that's what you put here, and then you just add up your points, and the player with the most points wins. So that's how you play the game, Clans of Midgard. Now let me give you some of my thoughts. All right, so Clans of Midgard, a draft, write, and fight game by Gray Fox Games. My wife and I have played quite a few different roll and write games, and I tend to like roll and write games, and she tends not to. But this one kind of caught her attention. She thought, it's a little bit more than just filling in bubbles. There's the battle on the board, and there's all the different things you're trying to draft. She likes drafting games like Sushi Go and other drafting games. So she was excited to get the draft element and the area control area majority, and it just seemed like there was more going on without it being super complex. So of the roll and writes we've played, I think this might be her favorite because she's just never been really fond of that genre. For me, I like that it does have a different feel to it. It doesn't feel like the traditional roll and write. It does feel like there's a little bit more going on. And so I enjoyed that part quite a bit. We also like that we can just sit down and play this game in 30 minutes now that we know how to play. And it wasn't really very hard to learn how to play either. And it doesn't take up a huge amount of space, so it's not going to be played like on an airplane. But you can play on a smaller table or a coffee table or something. So it is nice. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It's easy to learn. It's pretty quick to play. It makes you think. There's a lot going on with the drafting, and so there's a lot there that we really enjoyed, and we played quite a few times. Just coming right back to it. Try again. Let's try again. So we've had a good time with that. Now, a couple things that either we weren't real fond of or we think could be improved or maybe other people might not enjoy as much. I really feel like a player aid should have been included just to give you the sequence of you do the offerings and you do the clans, because there's nowhere in the book where that's listed in order in a succinct way. You have to kind of flip through the pages. Okay, offerings, then next comes clans. And after you've played a few times, you probably have it memorized. But there are, 6 or 7 steps, and you're supposed to do them in order. And so, and a lot of it's simultaneous. It's not that big a deal if you do them a little out of order for the letters and the glory and stuff. But just a simple little, maybe even on the back of the score pad, just print, here is the order of those steps, or a simple little player aid. Here are the order of the steps. And you don't need one per person, just one to kind of guide the game. I think that would have been, a really nice addition and pretty simple to add. Because there were several times we were flipping back and forth to the book and what's the order, what comes next, especially the first couple times when we were playing. But that's a pretty minor nitpick. Again, if you play it frequently, you'll know it really quickly, and it's not that big a deal to flip through. It just adds a slight bit of extra time. And so another thing that we were talking about as we were playing is, we like the fact that at 2 players, you don't have a really difficult Automa or Helga to operate. It was pretty simple. Whereas we played some other games where you have this third one, and it seems like their turns take so long. But really all you have to do for Helga is just see where her warriors are going out there based on her clan. So it's really a simple one to operate. There were a couple times where we almost forgot to put her warriors out. And so that's something just to remember, but it's not hard to do as long as you remember to do it. And once we played a couple times, it just became natural of, whoever got done doing our clans first, they would just grab her cards and do hers. The other thing is that I felt like maybe having a little player shield, since there's that one part of the game when you're supposed to do it sort of in secret, just offering some player shields. And again, maybe that was part of the Kickstarter version, but in the retail version, there isn't one. That would have been a little nice touch. Not necessary, but, a little nice touch. So those are just some little things that I felt like, might have made the game a little bit easier or smoother, but really the gameplay we really enjoy. I do think that we've played it a handful of times, and we've enjoyed it every time, and I think we'll continue to play it. But we did start to see that all of our scores are now starting to get right around the same range all the time, and even early on, our scores were always really close, which is good. But I feel like we're getting to the point where it's going to maybe start to feel a little bit the same over and over after we've played a dozen times, 15 times, whatever, because you are just doing the same thing every round for 4 rounds. But it is pretty snappy, so I think it's a nice filler game. It isn't one probably most people will want to just come back to and say, hey, this is the game we love to play and we just always play it, because I don't think there's that level of variability. But it does have enough variability with the different gods that every game's going to feel a little bit different, even though you're doing the same things. And again, it could be that the Kickstarter version had even more gods, and some of these other things that I've said might be kind of quality of life improvements. But those are our thoughts and reflections, things that we liked about the game, things that will keep drawing us back, but things that I can see maybe limitations of the game depending on what you're going into the game for. So yeah, if you like roll and writes, but you want something a little different, I think this would be a nice one to consider. And if you like the Viking theme and the idea of sending your warriors out to battle, but when they die, they go to Valhalla, you know, those thematic little touches, then maybe you would like this game for those reasons as well. So hopefully that helps you understand how the game plays and a little bit of the reflective thoughts that my wife and I had after playing several times. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments below and I'll be glad to answer them. If you've played this game and have comments, or you have another game that comes to mind that reminds you of this one, please leave that in the comments below too. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. As always, thanks for watching. This is Billy Indiana, signing off.